Topic is perception and understanding. And the first thing that is good for you to know is that the process of perception is just that, it's a process. So it's active. It's something that your brain is involved in. It's not just taking information through the eyes or through the ears and automatically receiving it the same as everybody else. It's not the same as taking a picture. Your mind is engaging in some processes. So the three processes that your mind engages in for the process of perception is, one is selection. So you actually select what you're going to be looking at. The second is organization, is of putting that into cognitive schema and then interpreting that. So we're going to be looking at those three different things in more detail. Okay, so selection is the first one, and you may be familiar with this image of the vases and the faces. So if you look at it one way, you'll see faces, and if you look at another way, you'll see vases. So that's an example of selection. What are you choosing to pay attention to? So we select to attend to certain stimuli based on a number of factors, and one is the quality of the phenomenon itself. The second is self-indication. So what are you telling yourself to pay attention to? And then the third is our motives and needs. So things that are happening in our life, it gives us predispositions to want or need certain things. And then our culture also gives us it helps us make these selections, what we pay attention to. So I'm going to give you some examples of these things. So in this picture, here's a question for you, okay? So anybody can throw out some answers to this. What do you see in this picture?
A bunch of people going to work.
Okay. Anything else?
Men in suits.
All right, men in suits. Anything else?
The legs are exaggerated so that there's a lot more men than women.
Oh, okay. The legs are exaggerated and there appears to be more men than women. How can you tell there's more men than women?
Because the
the women are wearing skirts and the men are wearing, I guess, what are slacks, okay? So those are, they look different just in the appearance of the legs, pretty much. So jackets look the same as whatever those things are that look like dresses, right? Okay. Anything else you can say about this picture? Anything else?
I think I can see in this picture that these men are of mixed race.
Oh, okay. You're seeing some mixed race people. Okay, very good. Okay, so when I show you the next picture, I want you to just notice what's the first thing you see when I show you the next picture. Okay, I'm going to change the slide. Okay, so what do you notice?
I noticed a little red hand sticking out at first, so that's funny that something was covered.
Okay, so a red hand. Okay, and what else? Someone said a lady. What else?
A dog.
A dog. Okay, so some of you may have noticed the lady first. Some of you may have noticed the dog. So what is it about the lady and the dog that made you see those first?
The colors, very different.
Okay, they have different colors. What else?
Size.
The size. Okay. So some of you may have noticed the woman first because she's so much larger. So that draws your attention. Large sizes, large sounds, bright colors. They stand out more, and our eyes and our ears are drawn to these things. Okay. And then we notice the poodle because it's a different color. So contrast, okay, a different color or a different sound and so on will stand out in the environment. So that's the quality of the phenomenon itself can make you attend more or less to it. If you're just like everyone else, we don't pay as much attention to it. Okay. And you just said it was just like a bunch of people, bunch of men, bunch of women, and so on before. Okay. So that's the first thing, is the quality of the actual phenomenon. Okay. Qualities of the phenomena are what drew your attention in this situation.
This is the Shogun. I'm going to hide this Hershey's Kiss under this cup, and the object is for you to pay attention and follow along and try to guess which cup the Hershey's Kiss is under at the end.
All right. Who wants to guess which one it's under?
Number 2.
The two, and then one in the middle. Okay. Anyone have a different guess?
1.
One. Okay. Anyone think it's 3?
Yeah, I think I'm saying it's 2, number 2.
Number 2 as well. Okay. All right. So I'm going to play the rest and you can see.
Try to guess if it's in the left cup, the middle cup, or the right cup. Let's check the left cup. The middle cup. If you guess the middle cup, you got it right. So now we're going to make it a little more complicated. I've added an extra pair of hands and I've added additional colors here. But that's only to distract you from the pink cups. The pink cups will always have, one of the pink cups will always have the Hershey Kiss underneath.
Okay.
So let's get
So notice now you're being talked to. So remember in your textbook, it says that communication influences perception. So think about what you're being told here as communication.
started. So can you guess where the Hershey Kiss is?
Okay, so where do you think it is now?
The first cup.
The first one.
The
First
first
one.
one on the bottom?
Yes.
That one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Use a little better movie quality would be a little essential, but first one's true.
You think it's this one? Okay. All right, let's see. Uh-huh. Okay, did anyone see the duck? Did anyone see there was a duck?
Not
No.
right.
What
Alright.
the?
Watch. Want to slow? You see that? Anyone see that? Okay,
A little quacker.
what's that? Okay, so, all right, so there was a duck there, okay, that nobody saw, okay? Did you notice that there was a 5th hand at the top of the screen too? See that?
Did notice the extra hand, yeah.
You did, okay.
Same.
I did see that the cups were green at the end and they were blue in the beginning.
Ah, okay. All right. So that they were green and then they turned blue. All right.
Right again. You're so good at this.
Okay.
Okay.
So, what you noticed and what did you read in the chapter that would help you to understand what you did and you didn't notice, okay? So I'm going to open the runes again. So when we look at the selective attention test that we just did then, so which factor was giving people different perceptions of what was happening in that perception test?
The directions given to
Okay.
look for a specific item.
Yeah. So part of it was that what you were told. So the communication that happened beforehand was telling you what to look for, and she didn't include look for a duck coming into picture, look for the extra hands. You just saw, right, 2 pairs of hands and you saw the extra cups, but she didn't tell you what to expect, so you weren't looking for it. And so a lot of people didn't even see it. And anything else about it that you think led to you not seeing the duck or the extra hand?
I didn't notice I didn't pay attention to like the duck, but I think I only saw like the chocolates.
Okay. So you were cued in to see the chocolate. You see,
Yeah.
right. Okay. So part of it is what she said. The other is part of it is the phenomenon itself. Where was the hand on the duck?
Towards the back?
Yeah, they were towards the back, right? And were they large? Did they make any noise? No, right? They just were kind of, they were in the background. So you don't pay as much attention to the background as you do to what's right in front of you, the foreground. So that's the phenomenon itself. And then there was the communication. So those two things are a big reason why, okay, that you didn't see those things, the phenomenon itself, okay? Another thing that could influence your perception is your state of mind. So if you're single, do you see more good-looking people than when you're in a relationship?
Yes.
You notice them more, right? If you're hungry, do you smell the food more when you're out and about in a place with food?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So your needs. Okay. If you're out of work, you might see more job listings and so on. So some of it's because you choose to go out and look for those things, but it could be right in your environment. And if you have a need for something, you're going to notice it more than if you don't, or if you're motivated to look for certain things, you're going to notice it. Does anyone ever notice how if you buy a certain car, suddenly you start seeing more of those cars on the road than you ever did before? Like you may have never even
Yes.
seen that
Now
car.
you have the idea in that.
Now you see that car all the time, right? So, because now it's your twin, all right? Or it's your cousin, right? So that's part of the selection. What you see has to do with what's going on in your mind and how you think about the object, your own state, personal state, your needs, and so on. That all goes into the selection process. Okay. All right. So now this is another interesting factor. Okay. Your culture influences what you see and what you can't see. So an anthropologist named Franz Boas, he found 50 words for snow in the Inuit culture. So can anyone guess why there would be 50 words for snow in the Inuit culture? And Inuit culture is up in Alaska mostly, right? That's the native peoples that live there are called Inuit people. So anyone can
Because
you think? Yeah.
because there's so much snow, they have to
Okay.
have so many words for it.
Okay. So what about that snow?
Perhaps it has to do with the fact that there could be many different variants. Like, let's say, oh, this is some really packed snow, or hey, that snow's very slippery, or something along the lines of that. Like more descriptive.
Yeah. Yeah. So if they're dealing with all different kinds of snow and their lifestyle is adjusted for being outdoors, so they have to pay attention to these things. So they have more ways to describe what they see. Now, when I was growing up, there was a lot of snow, and I just knew there was like regular snow and there was slush when it would start melting, and there was clean snow and dirty snow, which would happen after a few days on the cars rolling by when the snow was melting, and it would just splash mud onto the snow and it would get dirty looking. Okay. Because I grew up on the East Coast. Now, when I moved to Colorado for grad school and I took up skiing, then all of a sudden I learned the word powder. So the snow up in Colorado is wonderful to ski on because it's what you call powder. And so then I learned to distinguish between powder, which is soft and literally like powder. So when you slide on it, it's nice and smooth. When you fall, it doesn't hurt as much as when it's really hard and icy. Okay, so I learned a few more words for snow just moving to Colorado. I didn't have to go all the way to Alaska. So your culture is in a certain environment, and that cultural environment also cues you to look for some things and not other things when you're perceiving. So in sum, you have your culture, you have your own motives, your state of mind, your needs. Okay, you have the phenomenon itself. And those are the things that would influence how you select what you're going to see in your environment. Okay, now the next process is organizing what you take in. So your brain organizes it based on your past experience and these different constructs that you hopefully have read about in your textbook. Okay, so there's the prototype, the personal construct, the stereotype, and the script. So these are where you take in the perception and you just put them into this filing cabinet in your brain, and that will then influence how you interpret what you take in. And you could take in through your eyes, and we're very visual culture, so we take in a lot through our eyes, but we also take in through our ears, and we take in through our nose, we smell things, we taste things, and then our skin, touch, right? We have touch. So those are the five senses. But we tend to focus more on perception. We're very on sight. We're very sight oriented culture, sight and sound. All right, so those are the different things. So we'll look at them individually. Okay, so let's try to have a little fun with this. So what was your earliest prototype of a teacher? Anyone go to preschool? How about kindergarten?
I would say like energetic and preppy
Okay.
or
So-
patient.
Yeah, so a lot of teachers for young kids are energetic and patient. So you had your own experience. Did you have other places where you saw examples of teachers besides just your own experience? Did anyone read any kids' books about teachers before you went to school, or see any shows that had teachers? Okay, so there's different places where you might see these things. Okay, so your prototype is the most general representative example of the specific category. And a lot of times we will see these in our own lives, but even before we see them in our own lives, we might see them in the media, or we might see them where we read, or pictures and so on, or hear people talking about them, right? So that's kind of a prototype of a teacher there. Someone who's giving you information, writing on the board would be a prototype of a teacher, right? So here's some other ones. Okay, so are you used to seeing that from a teacher?
Not really.
Everybody? That's not I haven't seen a teacher do that. Okay, but that was a picture I found of a teacher. Okay, so I might have an opinion based on the fact that that's not what I was expecting, right? So it could be positive or it could be negative. But when it doesn't fit with our prototypes, we might have a stronger reaction to it. Okay. Now, the next thing we have after the prototypes are the personal constructs. Okay. So the personal constructs are like mental yardsticks where we measure things and decide whether they are desirable or undesirable. So they're usually in two dimensions. So bipolar means two dimensions, right? So you could think of nice and not nice, kind, unkind, responsible, and irresponsible. Okay, so those are some personal constructs. So for examples of that with teachers, okay, so this is which type of prototype of teacher would you say this was?
I think this one in that picture, it's kind.
Kind. Okay, what tells you that the teacher's kind?
Is like happy, like
Okay.
smiling.
All right, she's smiling. Okay, she has relaxed posture. There's nice pictures on the walls. Okay, so all around, and the students are involved. So she looks like a nice, kind teacher, right? And she's responsible doing her job. Okay, so now we have this picture. Okay, what would be your prototype? Your personal construct of this teacher?
Not the kind you want to mess around with.
Okay, so what would you say that was?
Strict.
Strict. Okay, looks like a strict teacher. Some people might say strict, some people might say mean. Okay, so that's a whole different, that's another construct, but we've probably all had those. I mean, I had my strict teacher like that for sure. My 5th grade teacher looks just like her. Okay. And maybe you had a teacher like that too, right? I learned a lot from her, but I didn't feel warm and fuzzy when I thought about her. Okay. All right, so personal constructs, we usually divide into two categories, what we desire and what we don't desire, okay, or what we think is good or bad. And so next we'll talk about stereotypes. So who wants to throw out to the class here what is one stereotype that your group brought up?
That blondes are always dumb.
Okay, that's a real common one. Okay, what else? Another one. Someone else.
Yeah, I would say that Asians are good at math and that men are stronger than women.
Okay, men are stronger than women. Asians good at math. Okay, who else has one they can?
I said that Latinos are usually, they stereotype us as like criminals.
Oh, okay. A lot of stereotypes of criminals or Latinos as criminals. Okay. Other stereotypes?
A lot of
Glasses
people.
are a sign of intelligence. Oh,
I'm sorry. I heard two people, so I'm sorry.
I apologize. Go ahead.
Go ahead. All right. All
I
right.
was just gonna say that like a lot of people assume that if you're Hispanic or Latino, you're automatically Mexican.
Oh, okay. If you're a Latino, then you're Mexican. Okay. And Yusuf, what were you going to add?
Oh, just that glasses are a mark of intelligence.
Oh, glasses. Oh, I'm good. I'm glad for that stereotype. Okay.
We said like when you just have a serious look on your face or just like an emotionless look, people will assume that you're automatically pissed off or angry.
Oh, okay. So unless you're smiling, you're angry. Okay. It's good. Anything else you want to add, anyone?
Or that when women are, oh, sorry. Or when women are in their or menstruating, they're in a bad mood.
Oh, okay. When women menstruate, they have bad moods. Okay. We have like nasty word for that, right? Okay, good. I think you know what a stereotype is. You've probably been talking about them since elementary school. So, but they influence your perceptions, like they exist, and we unconsciously make assumptions based on those stereotypes, even if we don't want to, because that they've been put there in the culture that we live in. So it's really hard to avoid having them influence you at all. Okay. All right. So the last thing we're going to discuss today, script is almost like a script for a play. Okay. And there for situations we are told how to act from the time we're young. People tell us how to act and we adopt these scripts. Okay. So for example, when you go into class, you know what you're supposed to do, right? When you check out at the register at the store, you know what to do. When you interview for a job. So these scripts that we have, they tell us how to act and what to expect. And the thing about scripts is that when people aren't following the scripts, then our mind starts to try to process that. And we could experience anxiety. We could be confused. It's just going to be harder to interpret, right? And harder to stay open-minded if when things happen that we don't expect. We could be pleasantly surprised when it happens, but often we end up feeling not very good about it. Okay. So scripts are important in how we interpret situations. And when people aren't following the script that we expect, then we might interpret it differently than what was intended by the person who's actually doing the actions. Okay. So I'm going to stop here.